I am live now. I hope everyone is having a good evening and Ramadan Mubarak to anyone celebrating. I have just finished cooking my iftar, so I'm looking forward to having that more or less as soon as I log off this live this evening. So Ramadan Mubarak to anyone else celebrating, and I hope your day has been well. I just wanted to take some time out just because I'm aware that actually I've generated a lot of connections in the last few years and actually don't really know many of you very well. So I just wanted to kind of take the time out to connect, find out a bit more about each other, and yeah, just see where there are affinities in what our interests are. So I just reached actually 7,000 connections a few days ago, which I'm really pleased about. Most of my connections are pharmacists, which is what we'd expect really, but I have a few other connections on there as well. So welcome again to anyone joining this evening, and thank you for taking time out to listen to me. If you're listening to me pre-recorded, then welcome as well. Completely understand that life takes over, and actually sometimes it's difficult to join things at a certain time. So I'm just going to tell you a bit more about myself. So I get lots of messages on LinkedIn about various things, and mostly about my current role, which I'll go into in a few minutes. But actually, just wanted to talk to you a bit more about just myself. I am a pharmacist. I've been qualified for just over 15 years now, I think. I think I lost count at about 15 years. My background is primarily in community pharmacy, actually. Started off in hospital, so did my pre-reg in a few years in hospital, then went on to work in community pharmacy and worked for a couple of multiples, and that led me on to working for the GPHC as an inspector, which I did for a short stint, and that really led me to my current role as Global Director of Pharmacy at Babylon Health, which is what I'm most known for and what most people ask me about. So I work for a tech company. I'm not very technically inclined. I have to just put that out there. My colleagues, if they're listening, will laugh at this actually, and they really help me through a lot of tech-enabled stuff. So I'm not really that technically inclined. I love my current work, and like I said, I'll go into that in a bit more detail a bit later. But I live in Reading, so anyone around, please let me know. Please reach out. We can have an actual in-person coffee as opposed to a virtual one. That would be really nice. I just moved here actually. I'm originally a Londoner, so I've lived in London for most of my life, apart from a few years here and there. Really enjoying it here, actually, really nice. I decided to move kind of out of London just to help more with my work-life balance, and actually kind of just enjoy some more greenery and enjoy some of the benefits of the kind of living out of a city. Hi Tara, that's really great. Please let me know whereabouts, and let's connect for a coffee or something. That would be great. Great to do. What else can I tell you about me? So I love reading, watching movies, traveling, which I haven't done much of during the pandemic, but really looking forward to my first holiday since COVID began, which is very soon. Yeah, so just going on to my current role, which I'm sure you all kind of want to know about. So I currently work as Global Director of Pharmacy at Babylon Health. I started here around 6 years ago. And this is kind of what I tell everyone quite honestly and quite candidly about my current job, is I really just started it thinking that, you know, I'd test it out and see what happened, and actually if something better came along, then I'd move along. I started part-time, and and also very quickly fell in love, really, if I'm honest. Hi guys, so hi, is it Heba and Roxana? Yes, Tara, absolutely, yeah. Drop me a message and yeah, we can definitely connect for a coffee or something. Roxana, that's very far up north. Thank you for joining. Just in case you missed it, Ramadan Mubarak to anyone who's fasting as well. Some of you may have missed, I've just finished making my iftar, so looking forward to breaking my fast, probably as soon as I log off this. So I work currently as global director. Started off 6 years ago as kind of the first pharmacist at Babylon. Thought that I would start the job just because I wanted to do something different. You know, I realised that actually I didn't want to kind of work in community. I wanted something that really challenged me. Wanted to really be able to use some of my more creative skill set. So I kind of identified quite late on in my career actually that I was quite creative and really liked working autonomously. So that was where I could really just bring to life and create is kind of where my strengths lie. So joined Babylon and was really able to kind of get my teeth into creating processes and actually service development. And most of what you see today is as a result of like some kind of decision that I made almost 6 years ago. Really it's really rewarding to see the results of some of the stuff that we've been able to do at Babylon, and that started off as a really small idea almost 6 years ago. Thank you for joining, Mariam. Lovely to see you. Ramadan Mubarak to you too. And it's nice to see someone from Birmingham as well. That's great. So we're kind of spread out a little. I get asked a lot like how I was able to kind of really take on the role at Babylon and really actually get to grips and really create some of those opportunities and drive and create some of those services. And I reflect quite a lot on this. I'm quite a reflective person, and really found that actually there's a few kind of key characteristics that I possess that actually kind of made me quite successful in this domain. I think one of them is being reflective. So I think that we don't really, as humans, we think of failure as very negative. So we think of it being really the opposite of very positive, very negative, and actually. I don't really see failure as negative. I see it as a learning opportunity. So, whatever I do, be that in my professional or my personal life, actually, I quite often think about, okay, so what did I do well? Because inevitably there's always something that, you can learn from and take a positive from something, but also what could I do differently? And no matter how successful you are, whatever the scenario is, you can always find those two things, I think. And that's kind of a philosophy that I adopt in, like I said, every aspect of my life, so personal, professional. And I found it really, really helpful because it really helps you to grow and adapt and change. And with the level of growth that I've experienced in the organisation that I currently am in, it's, you can't survive in this kind of organisation unless you are reflective, unless you can change and adapt and be flexible. And I think that really comes from being reflective in nature and really embracing actually failures. So thinking about where you haven't succeeded and think about, okay, so where is the opportunity there? So what can I do differently next time? So that really drives me quite a lot. And that's super important, I think. I think one of the other things that I've already touched upon is being very creative. I think generally, pharmacists as a group is not really deemed as being very creative, but actually I think we are. Um, I think our training instills in us that actually we need to be quite process driven, and quite led by tick boxes and things like that. And that kind of stifles creativity a little. And that's something that I really found appealing, working for my current organization, is the fact that, it was like a blank canvas, and I was able to really create whatever I wanted to, and that embraced with being reflective and having that kind of really adaptive attitude, really helped me kind of springboard a lot of ideas. And if things went wrong, they went wrong, and we just learnt from them and we moved on. um, I think the other thing that I think particularly with my current organisation is the ability to just be able to deal with change and go through change. So as humans, we're not we don't like change. We like routine. We like things that we're used to. We like things to be consistent, and that really doesn't happen at my current workplace. And where you see the level of growth that we have, there is a huge amount of change, and sometimes change can be uncomfortable, because that's uh, that's where that's where you grow. Where you're uncomfortable, that means you're growing. You're adapting. You very rarely grow in your comfort zone. That's something that a lot of kind of leaders really recognise. And actually, I kind of innately realised that when I joined my current organisation, and kind of really consciously aware of it now, kind of 6 years on. So that's something that I think is really important. And I think pace is the other thing. Um, so again, with the level of growth that we've experienced, the pace is incredible. It's much faster than most other organisations that I've worked for. That's to be expected. With the level of growth and stuff that we've experienced, there's going to be pace and there's going to be change. So I think that's super important to kind of really understand and embrace. I've got a question here from Tara. So, hi, Chantal. Lovely for you to join us. And Tara, what made you want to quit your job and enter one that was slightly uncertain, if that makes sense? Yeah, it does. Kind of as I've grown as a professional and as a person, like I said, I'm quite reflective in nature, and I like to think about, okay, so what's going on well and what isn't going so well. But also, it's really useful to kind of understand what your strengths and your weaknesses are. So, throughout my career and throughout the different roles that I've had, I've really kind of reflected upon, like, what have I done well in this role, and what haven't I done so well. So from that, I understand that actually I work better under pressure. So I work better at a larger pace. I work much better when I'm allowed to be autonomous. So where I feel that I'm restricted in any way, shape, or form, it kind of stifles my creativity. So I understand that an environment in which I need to be able to flourish actually is one where I'm not restricted as much as maybe some other environments. So the role before this one was actually working at the GPHC as an inspector. And although it was autonomous to a point, I did things like manage my own diary, and I had a group of stores that I had to inspect, and was able to create my own things like inspection schedules and that kind of stuff. Actually, the work that I actually did was very restrictive. So as you can imagine, like the regulator, you're upholding the standards of the regulator and the law, and that means that you have to follow a certain route and a certain standard. And obviously, there's inspectors up and down the country, and that means that actually, um, uh, we all have to be consistent in our approach and make sure that every inspection that we have actually is consistent. So I realised that actually that just wasn't the right job for me. it was far too restrictive. I wasn't able to use my creative juices, so to speak. Wasn't able to be as autonomous as I wanted to, and it really didn't play to my strengths. So I left that thinking that I wanted something that actually was better suited to my skill set. And that's why I kind of joined Babylon. And I think I'm quite open to trying things. I kind of a characteristic of mine is I'm not really that scared of the unknown, and I think that's because I embrace what most people see as failure as a learning opportunity. I think that stems from that. So I think that's super important to kind of really understand. I think my attitude, and I say this lots at work actually, of like, what's the worst that could happen? What is the worst case scenario in this situation? So, kind of joining a new job in a different sector, or in something that's slightly unknown, the worst could be actually, you don't like it, and you move on and you find something else, and I don't think that's really the end of the world, if I'm completely honest. So I kind of took that approach to my current role, and it's obviously worked really well for me, which is great. Hi Lisa, yeah, really looking forward to you joining. So Lisa is going to be joining us as a medicines management technician in a few weeks' time. So really looking forward to that. And welcome, Shilpa. No problem at all. It's really nice to see you join us this evening. I understand like things are busy in the evening, you've got lots of things to do, and it's really hard sometimes to fit life into into your day. So completely understand, please don't worry. So how big is Babylon? I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I think that at the last count, there was about 4,000 employees, and we are present over the UK, in the States, and also in Rwanda. So we've got clinical services in each of those areas. We've got probably about 70 plus pharmacists, I think. We've got pharmacists in other countries as well. So yeah. So one of the questions that I also get asked quite a lot is, how did you get into prescribing? And how do you use your prescribing qualification? And so I actually did my prescribing qualification after I joined Babylon. So I found that it was just like a really natural extension of what I was doing. So I was dealing with lots of kind of complex medication queries, and working really closely with the rest of the team. So at the time it was kind of GPs and a couple of nurses. And I found that actually if I did the prescribing qualification, then it meant I could kind of sign off my own decisions, as opposed to asking one of the other prescribers to be able to do so. So I actually did it probably about 3 years ago now, I think, and actually probably didn't find it as difficult as maybe some of the other people on the course, because I was already kind of actively thinking about what I would do if I was a prescriber, and working really proactively with prescribers. And yeah, just just kind of using in that mindset basically of being a prescriber. So I think I found it a lot easier than maybe some of the other people on the course, and really enjoyed it. I don't regret it at all. I think if there's anyone out there who's thinking of joining a prescribing course, like obviously the legislation has changed. So in a couple of years' time, I think it's 2027 off the top of my head, all of the pharmacists that qualify will be prescribers in the UK. So I think it's a really good opportunity to kind of really upskill yourself, and really showcase some of the skills of pharmacists. And that's probably one of the things that I'm most known for, if I'm completely honest. I think that it's a really good opportunity, and actually we're doing some CPD sessions. The details are on my LinkedIn page, so please feel free to register if you're interested. Just about if you're new to prescribing. And actually, if you want some advice, we've got lots of prescribers, like I said, 70 plus pharmacists, and lots of other prescribers as well within our organisation. So actually, if you're wanting to get some advice, then please join one of those sessions. They're really worth it. Welcome, Rishi. Really nice for you to join us this evening. And I've got someone who said that they are a pharmacy student. I think that might be Rishi as well, but didn't do their pre-reg exam. That's not a problem. I think, the pharmacy degree doesn't mean that you have to actually qualify as a pharmacist and work in that kind of clinical capacity. There's lots of really useful skills and knowledge within the pharmacy degree that can be applicable to any arena. And actually, I welcome people who are in kind of alternative roles. I think that's really valuable. So when I qualified, there was only really kind of 3 options presented to me, either in community, hospital, or in industry. There weren't really very many options outside of those roles, and not very well known. And there was definitely no kind of career path to working in any other kind of sector or any kind of alternative role. So really welcome anyone who works in an alternative role. It's really nice to see that you're newly qualified, Heba. That's great. I think there's a kind of a real kind of enthusiasm, I think, in some of our newly qualified pharmacists. And actually, this year was the first year that we had trainee pharmacists within our organisation, I think was a really, really great opportunity for us. The pharmacists that we had, great, really positive and really open mindset, and it's a really exciting time for them actually. So we got them time with people like the guys in our AI team and our tech teams and in our clinics and that kind of stuff. So it was really exciting. Really looking forward to our kind of next cohort, which is in September of this year. So not long to go actually. And those trainees are actually going to have their exams soon. Hopefully our trainees will pass with flying colours as well. Okay, brilliant. Right, I am going to draw to a close now. Thank you very much for anyone who joined. Really appreciate you coming to connect. Would really love to do this more often. So if you have any feedback or any comments, please feel free to leave them either underneath the post or as a DM. More than happy to listen. Would like to do this far more often, so please let me know if there's a particular day or time or anything like that you think might be best for you. And yeah, thank you very much everyone, and have a lovely evening.